Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Diatone GT-M3. Now, not so long ago on the channel I previewed the prototype version of the 5-inch GT-M, and at the making of this video that has not been released yet. They're still trying to work out some issues with it, but this is the official release of the 3-inch version. And I'm reading all over the internet that this is the best 3-inch model that money can buy, and I genuinely believe that people think that. However, when I look at the specifications, there's some things about this model that is making me think that this isn't going to be my favourite 3-inch model. The first one is this. You see, just like all of the other recent Diatone models, it's using a TBS Unify Pro, and this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, I think, but I'm not a big fan of the Unify.
Yeah, I said it.
You see, any model that I have built and used the Unify, or I have received a bind and fly model and it's been on there, such as the GT-R90, it's had a load of noise over the video, and that really bugs me. I know it doesn't bug a lot of people, but it bugs me, and I think there are better VTXs out there more suited to these smaller models. HLRC, they've absolutely nailed it with their stacks, and I just find the Unify just outputs a little bit too much noise, and I think that it does that because it is a high output VTX, so it is capable of outputting up to 800 milliwatts, which for me isn't a requirement whatsoever. But if you are looking to go long range with this guy, then maybe, you know, it is the best 3-inch model, but that is not a requirement for me. In fact, I much prefer cleaner video than a noisy video feed, but the ability to travel further. Another reason this might not be my favourite is actually the way the camera is mounted. So it's got the same camera as the GT-R90, which I actually really liked. But you can see this crazy camera angle that it's at here. That's the lowest it will actually go. And that is because we have got this part of the circuit board here that gets in the way of this aluminium part of the frame, so it can only go up from there. Again, if you like to fly really fast, then that is fine for you, but if you like a more flatter camera angle for doing freestyle, then, you know, again, it's not completely suitable for me. That being said, I do think this is going to be a really good copter. We've got some nice motors on here. They are the Edge Racing Sunny Sky motors, and they're a fairly big motor as well, so they are a 1408 4000 kV motor. So very high in kV. And then we've got the stack here, so we've got 20 amp BL Halley S 16.7 ESCs. We have got Diatone's own Fury F4, and that is running Betaflight on-screen display. It's come flash with version 3.21. So, you know, it's a fairly old version. Now we're on 3.3. But it was completely set up. I have just changed a couple of things, so I've moved the on-screen display around there, and I've also installed D-Shot commands, and that is because there's no buzzer on this, so I think most people have switched to D-Shot commands now, and I'm seeing a lot of models released without a buzzer. Again, I know I mention this all the time, I prefer a buzzer because I fly line of sight as well, and a buzzer can tell you when your voltage is getting low. But there you go. And then of course we've got the Unify Pro on the top. It does have the smart audio already connected. It's using a little sleeve dipole antenna rather than the SMA connector that comes with a standard Unify, and it's on a little UFL connector there as well. And this is the plug and fly version, so you can see it's just come with this little cable here to plug into your receiver. So I'm going to be using a XM receiver for this. I'm going to have to cut that off and solder that up. And just like the GT-R90, we have got the current sensor on there. So I'm going to have to check whether that is accurate, because on the first GT-R90 I received, it was all over the place. The second one was better, so I will see how accurate this current sensor is here on the XT30 connector. So they say it weighs 120 grams without a battery. I've weighed this as it comes out of the box like this. It's actually 124 grams, and that is with the outer receiver and without the props on. So it's probably going to weigh more like 130 grams. I also need to put the silicone mat on there as well. So the frame actually has individual arms rather than a unibody, and that actually adds a little bit more weight. And you're probably thinking, Andy, what is your current favorite 3-inch model then, if it's not going to be this one? And that's actually quite hard to answer, because again, it depends what you are after. Now, I reviewed this guy, which is the SkyZone S140, and on paper it looked terrible. It didn't have a buzzer or an LED board. It's got this loose VTX here that I had to tie up, and it doesn't have smart audio or anything like that, but it had crazy performance. These motors here with the 1506 4100 kV and these propellers here, it had crazy performance. So if it's performance that you're after, for me this one has been the fastest so far. And then if you want to add a split mini, the X140 has been really good, and the DT140 that I reviewed recently, that one also has the Tramp protocol and clean video, and the XJB145 has clean video as well. So, you know, I would prioritize that over power. So, you know, it all depends really, but for me in general, the SkyZone S140 has been the best, not because it's got, you know, the best setup, but it's got the best performance, it's got a nice camera, and it's got clean video as well. So I know you might be thinking at this point, Andy, how on earth can you be complaining about video noise when you haven't even plugged it in yet? Well, I saw a lot of the videos on the prototype, and originally the Unify was underneath, just like it was on the GT-R90, and I know there was a lot of video noise that came through on those prototypes, so they've moved it up to the top. Another telltale sign that this is going to have noise on it is what they have included in the package. So you get nice stuff with Diatone. We've got some cable ties there, we've got a battery strap, we have got a XT30 connector, you know, if you want to convert a battery or something. We've got spare screws, more spare screws, more cable ties, more screws. Ooh, but what's this? It is a low ESR capacitor, a very similar component that got put on the Baby Hawk R, and that was because that one produced noise. So the fact that they are including this is basically them admitting, yeah, there's a little bit of video noise and you might want to solder this onto the battery cable. And for me, I think that should have been done out of the box if that is the case, but it's nice that they've given you the option. But there you go. Yeah, it is a reasonable price, this, I have to say. So, you know, they are working to a price. We've got some nuts there for the top of the motors, and we've got a silicone mat there so the battery doesn't slide. I always really like that. And then you're given these propellers as well. They are the Gemfan Flash, so 3052, and these are known to be a good propeller. However, I imagine that it's going to be quite heavy on amps, and we'll take a look at that, of course, in the flight. It does come in a nice box, however I don't think it's going to fit in the box at all with the props on, and you get a load of stickers and a warning card thing to read as well. Okay, let's go for the maiden with this guy. I'm using a 650 milliamp 4S tattoo battery. I asked Diatone and they said that's what it's designed for. These motors run so smooth and the thing's so quiet. I have upped the digital idle speed because it was set to 3 out of the box, and that is too low. I could see the motors actually stopping when I put control in with the props off, which is no good because you get a flip of death. Now, the PIDs are so low out of the box. I think the D value is in single figures, and the P gains aren't far behind either. Let's go for a punch. It's an interesting sound, that is. Yeah, not heard motors that sound like that before. Let's try another punch. Yeah, very interesting sound, but bags of power. Yeah, isn't that an unusual sound? Okay, let's try Aquo. I mean, it seems to be behaving okay. And we'll see what it's like FPV, of course, because that's really where you can tell what the tune is like. I think Diatone said that it is tuned really for everyone rather than the expert flyers. I'm not sure what that means, but there you go. Yeah, a completely different sound, but I like it. And not too loud either. I know that's important to most people. Yeah, seems to be going okay. I'm surprised by that. I thought those gains would be too low. However, when you do go really lightweight on a model with a 650 milliamp battery, you do usually have to come right down on the gains. Oh yeah, I'm barely going above 50% throttle there. So, you know, pretty impressive. There's definitely something different about this one. Anyways, let's come in for a landing. Let's stick it back into angle mode first of all to see if we've got any drift. That's hands off. It's fine. So, let's bring it in. Okay, let's get and do some FPV. Now, before I arm the motors, I can see some noise through the picture. A few lines across the screen. I've also tested the battery voltage and we can see it says 16.4 there, and I've checked it with a multimeter and the battery is at 16.7. So we're a couple of points out on the calibration there as well. So let's get an arm it and see what happens. And straight away I can see more noise that has come over the top. Now, it's not debilitating, but it's definitely there. So let's see what the tune is like. First thing I'm going to do is test the eye. Did you see that twitch there? That's interesting, isn't it? Oh, I've lost control. That's the low RSSI on this receiver. Can you see it's very low? So I think what might have happened is, and this is my fault, I think I might have damaged the antenna on the receiver. Either that or it's browning out. Yeah, so that's what that twitch was. I think it was just losing control. I have to keep it in close then. But the tune, it doesn't seem too bad actually. Not too bad. Let's try the hesitation. Might need to give it a bit more rate. I think it's this camera angle that is putting me off. Let's try again. Now, there was definitely a twitch there, like noise through the gyro. That's a problem that you get with F4s. And I could hear a bit of a clicking on the throttle as well. So not great results really. Might need to mess around with the notch filters or something. But yeah, so we've got noise on there, so that's why they've given you the capacitor. I don't think it'll clear out the noise that is there when it's standing, because capacitors are there really to eradicate voltage spikes from the back EMF of the braking. Yeah, definitely a twitch there from vibrations, which is surprising because these motors seem to run pretty smooth. And I've been flying for 2 minutes there, and the voltage is already at 14 volts. So yeah, not sure what is going on there, but having problems with the range. And yeah, I mean, it's time to land already, so yeah, not a great experience with this guy, I'm afraid. Okay, I have added a new receiver, and I've also turned on the notch filters. All of them were turned off, so I think that might be what the twitching was. So let's have a see now. I've also installed that capacitor that they've given, and we still have the same amount of noise. And I think I saw a little bit of twitching still, but at least it seems the receiver has sorted itself out. When I got to it, the ground cable was very loose and it came unsoldered. So that might have been the issue. However, I didn't want to risk it because I'm going to be losing the light here. I'm still getting a slight twitch. Can you see? Getting it there. I mean, might just need some of the filters messing with, but you know, when you're buying into this sort of thing, maybe you don't want to be messing with that. The flight time is going to be low on a 650 milliamp battery. I would suggest an 850 milliamp battery, but then you'd have to retune it. So we're only talking a 3-minute flight time max. I mean, look at this, we've been flying 1 minute 27, 28, 29, and we're down to 14.5 volts. So it's heavy on the amps, although that voltage scaling is slightly out. And it's hard to say about the current sensor really. This is a 650 milliamp battery, we're down to 14 volts, and it's saying 226 milliamps, so I would say there's a good chance that that's not calibrated correctly either. So all in all, yeah, I mean, it flies, but it's got noisy video. We're getting twitches on the flight controller. I don't think it's for me, you know. I mean, the tune's okay on a 650 milliamp battery, but look at this, 14 volts. I'm gonna have to land at 2 minutes. So I'll put a link in the description if you wish to get one, and I'll come in for a landing if I can, but this camera angle is quite harsh. But I will say thank you so much for watching, and as always, please continue to subscribe. Cheers.